father, he divided it, and he gave him his portion. And not many days after he got his inheritance, it says that he gathered everything together, and he took a journey to a faraway country. And there he wasted all of this money with wasteful living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. Now I want to stop there. I just want to talk a little bit about it. This young man, he asked his father, I want my inheritance now. And so the father goes ahead and gives it to him. So he, sometimes we think we know what's best for our life. So he goes to a faraway land where he didn't know anybody. But he had lots of friends now. People telling him, hey, let's do this. Hey, you should do that. Hey, let's do this.
He had money.
Because he was picking up the tab for everything. A famine means that there wasn't any jobs or anything, and this young man became desperate. So he's looking around. No one is there. None of his friends are there. What happened to everyone? And he is starving to death. He's cold. He doesn't have any place to live. He's looking for someone to help him. All of the people that he paid their way, now they're gone. So he finds a man that tells him he'll give him a job feeding hogs. Now, you've got to understand, this was a Jewish man. The Jews, there were certain laws about not touching unclean things. A pig was an unclean thing. That was about the lowest that any young Jew could find himself. That was the worst situation. But even though he was feeding the hogs, they still wasn't given to him. He was so hungry that he began to eat part of the husk and stuff that they were feeding the hogs. Now here this young man is, raw, stinking, cold, hungry, nobody cares, but he's in a faraway land. He left the protection of the father's house. So now he finds himself in a horrible situation. Why he's in this mess here? I'm going to try to kind of check some of my notes and make sure I didn't, let's see here. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead with it.
You're doing great. Roll on.
Okay, he finds, he's cold, he's hungry. He gets reevaluating his life. It says in verse, I think it's 13, it says, verse 17, and he came to himself. I like that. He came to himself. Now, what he's saying is he finally came to his senses. He begins to look around.
That's right.
He begins to say to himself, how did I get here? How did I get in this situation? Bingo. I thought I knew what was best. I wanted to control my own life. I didn't want nobody to tell me what to do or where to go. So, I just wasted it. Nobody cares. I know what I'm going to do. My father has servants, like maids and butlers and stuff. He's got servants. They have not only plenty to eat, they've got plenty to give to other people. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back home. And I'm going to tell my father, please forgive me, Father. Amen. I've sinned against heaven. I've sinned against God first. And I've sinned against you. I'm not even worthy to even be called your son. But just let me be a servant. So he like I say, I like it. He came to himself. He began to reevaluate what can I do to change my circumstances. And in life, oftentimes, we have to put our own self in check. We got to talk to our own self. We got to see where we are, how did we get there, where do we want to be, and how can I change my circumstances. So that's basically what this young man does. So, as he's headed home, it says the father sees him from afar off. Now you got to remember, this was a very wealthy man. Lots of land, fields I'm sure was piled up with wheat or whatever, harvest. So when I think about that, that makes me think the father wasn't down here looking out the window. He was up on the housetop because he was yearning. He was praying. hoping that his son would come to his senses. I can imagine that every day he goes up there looking. He sees him from a far distance. Now, I don't think the son probably even saw him, but the father saw him. He goes running as fast as he can. He runs, he grabs his son. It says he fell on his neck, and his son, before he could even tell him, he turns to the servant and begins to tell him what he wants him to do. But the son says, Father, I'm not worthy to be your son. I've sinned against heaven and against God. But what does the father do? Does the father say, what did you do with all of your money? Look at the shape you're in. You stink. No, the father doesn't. The father doesn't do that.
No, he
the father turns to his servant and says, go get the best, the finest robe. Now, robes back in them days represented royalty, like Jesus is royalty because he's the King of Kings. He says, get the best robe. Get a ring. And put that ring on his finger. And kill, it says, the fatted calf. Now, Jews had special calves that they had set aside, that they fed and fattened up real good. Those were for special occasions. So this was really a special occasion for this young man. So, he's trying to tell him that the son's trying to say, Father, I'm not even worthy. But the father restores him.
Yeah.
Even though he took all that was his, even though he wasted it all. And what that tells me is regardless of what circumstance that we get ourselves into, because we all make bad decisions, we've all made some horrible ones, we've all got ourselves in some kind of mess a time or two, you know, but even though we feel unworthy, God does not see us as being unworthy because we are his children, which means we are kingdom children.
Amen.
Yes.
That's right.
Kingdom children are
Preach it.
royalty.
Preach it.
Mm-hmm.
We are a royal, it says a royal priesthood.
Mm-hmm.
And God says, it's in 2 Chronicles 7:14. This is what God says. If my people, the Christians are his people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven. Then will I forgive their sins, and then will I heal their land.
That's right.
Now, what did he say there? If my people. And this young man, I'm sure, he was thinking all of that in his mind too. What can I do? He came back, you know, the father here, in the parable of the father and the son, it's not really about a rich man with 2 children. It's actually talking about us, how sometimes, as I said, sometimes in life, we go to the left instead of staying on the right road. You know, we make detours a lot of times, and we find ourselves lost. And that's where this young man was. He found himself in a horrible position, lost. But he came to himself. I want you to remember that. He came to himself. We have to do exactly what God says. God is a father, like I say, he ran, even before, probably a couple of miles away, he's watching us. And even though we may feel like that we're unworthy or I've messed up, might as well forget it.
Or he's left
No
us.
Don't give up.
There is always, that's why I said
Don't
there's
give up.
always hope. God
Yes.
is waiting and watching. He's begging us to come back. He loves us so, so much.
Yes.
We can't even fathom. I mean, look at this young man. He wasted everything, but he restored everything. A fine robe, plenty of food. And hey, he didn't say, no, I'm going to make you're going to be the lowest servant. He restored him to his sonship.
Yes.
And so that's why I say, kingdom children, we belong to God.
No.
And no matter what kind of situation you find yourself in, you put your own self in check. Talk to yourself. Hey, girlfriend, let me talk to you. You know, hey, we're going to have to get some things changed. What did he say? Seek my face, turn from your wicked ways, pray. That's all we have to do, is just seek the face of God.
Amen, that's right.
And he gives more than we ever could ever. You know, like you take one little baby step, God will take 10 miles. And you'll be, how on earth did this happen? I mean, hey, praise God. Because God is a God of love, and he's a God of restoration. He wants to restore us. You know, and there's a little more to the story that I didn't go into. But, you know, the Father is so happy because he said, my son was lost, but now he's found. My son was dead, but now my son is alive. You know, and he was dead in his sins, but he was alive in Christ because he finally came to his senses. And that's what I'd say, that's, you know, when I said he came to himself, he came to his senses. And that's something for all of us that many times we've got to, I like to use the word inventory. We have to inventory our life, see where we are. We all have junk that we need to throw out. That's meaning us no good.
Amen.
We all have so-called friends that mean us no good. So, you know, sometimes we have to make some changes. And those changes can only come about with God. So, God bless you. God loves you.
Good word. Good
I
word.
love you. That's it.
Hallelujah. Beautiful. Yay. Thank you. Hallelujah. Thank you, Sister Kyle.
I probably had something else I wrote down.
Good job.
Whatever.